Hey y'all, thanks so much for joining us today at The Heart. My name is Dominic Insenius. I'm the leader of this church community, and I'm so grateful that you have taken some time out of your day in your journey of faith to be a part of what God is doing here in the city of San Marcos. We have a saying around here, you don't have to go to church here to go to church here, and that means you are welcome to enjoy this message from your tablet, phone, or computer, wherever you're watching it on. Big things can happen when we expect God to move. So I pray today that God would speak to you through this message. The message today can encourage you and empower you to move throughout your week and what's next in your life. So enjoy this message.
So in this series, At the Core, what we've been doing is exploring the core values that we have here at the Heart. Exploring the core values that we have, these are things that we use, these are tools that we use, a lens that we look through, if you will, when we're looking at decisions, direction for our church, for our community, for where we want to go. Now, when it comes to a core value is not something that you choose for yourself, okay? That's more of an aspirational value. Let's say you're not a funny person, you want to be funny. You can have a goal, an aspirational value of I want to have humor in my life. But a core value is something that you discover about yourself. A core value is something you discover about who you already are. Now, we grow and change as we get older and have new experiences, so who you are at your core can grow. You're not stuck with who you are. And so what we did is over the first year or so, because we didn't start the Heart with core values written out. We took the time to say, okay, what are the different ways we approach life? What are the different ways we approach people? So we have 5 core values at the Heart: choice, connection, community, welcoming, honesty. Whoa, maybe I need some work on that one. And so with these core values, what they necessarily do is they allow us to look at the different things going on, okay, the different initiatives we have, whatever it is, and say, these are the kind of people that we are. It helps us to remind each other who we are. And today, the one we're going to wrap up with is the core value of welcoming, being a people, being a group that is welcoming. Now, I want to start off with saying that, like, welcoming is not just about, even though it can be, okay, it is not just about welcoming people into the church, right? That's the easy kind of low-hanging fruit of what welcoming is. Are we saying welcome to people? Do we have signs that say welcome? Are we smiling when they come in? Now, all of these things are important, and they definitely matter, but you don't need to have a value of welcoming. Being someone who is welcoming, having that value, that doesn't having a sign doesn't connect to that necessarily, right? It's more than a sign. It's more than are you smiling at people as they come in. I'm going to tell you a story that's going to make me sound like a hero and then flip it right back around and show you that I'm not, okay? I'm just letting you know up front. When we drive here on Sunday morning and get ready, you know, we get all this stuff ready, and we get ready for an experience, and we're hoping and praying and planning for people, for you guys to be here, and even if people aren't here, we have all this technology so people can watch it later, right? We have all of this because there's something special about being able to gather, something special about being able to gather and kind of be in the same heart and mind about what God could do in our life. It's all very exciting, but before all of that happens, something that I do for myself mentally is when I drop off all the stuff, all the equipment, I park my car far, far away from the door. Almost like past summer moon. It takes me about 8 minutes to walk to the car when we're done here. And I used to be in a competition with Crystal how farther we could park, right? And Crystal won because she parked in Kyle and walked here. And I was like, wow, you're really making. So why? Why do I do that? Why do I do that? I do that because in my mind, I am making room for people. Now, I know that there is plenty of parking, okay? If it wasn't spring break, there's still all this stuff going on with COVID, and there's not going to be 1,000 people here. I know that. There's plenty of parking for Gold's and Gold's Gym and everything else. I know that. So logically, I could park a lot closer, but in my mind, I want to have this attitude of like, I am making space for people to be here. What a hero I am. But you know where I know that I am not welcoming is at HEB. Does anybody go when they go to HEB? They just put their headphones in, which essentially says, "I'm not here to talk to anybody." I've literally done this. Okay, I'll see someone that I know, and I'll push the cart the other way. Anybody ever do that? Okay, all right. It was Austin. We saw each other. We're like, not today, thanks. I'll shoot you a text. I'm not always welcoming. I'm not always honest. I'm not always wanting to stay in connection. So a core value doesn't mean you are stuck to these behaviors. It means it's a certain outlook on life. And as we're kind of going through today, at the end of this, my goal isn't for you to become a more welcoming person. You can if you want to. That's on you. You're on your own journey. You need to decide what it means to be welcoming in your life. But maybe having a position, a posture of welcoming doesn't have to mean that you're letting everybody into your life all the time. I think, 5 years ago, I used to think the best way to do things is the way I do things. Well, maybe I still think that, but you know what I mean. I would kind of preach and teach and tell people, here's what you need to do. You need to drop everything at all times and care about people in your life. And that might sound noble, but it is exhausting and it's not healthy. Sometimes you got to have boundaries and walk away. Sometimes you got to have boundaries and not answer every phone call that comes in, not answer every text message that comes in. Welcoming doesn't mean that everyone gets access to you all the time. It's not even about agreeing with people. One of the things that helps to remind us to be a welcoming community, that we are a welcoming community, is this. And if you're taking notes, you can write this down. You don't have to believe what we believe to belong here. You don't have to believe what I believe to be a part of this community. You don't have to believe what Matt believes to belong here. You don't have to believe what Crystal believes. You don't have to believe what Amber believes. You don't have to believe anything that we believe to belong here. Sometimes I've been to churches, and this might be my thing I'm bringing to you. You guys are usually my therapy session, on Sundays. So I might be bringing this. This is some baggage I'm bringing, but I've been to churches before where it was all smiles, and then you were asked to make a decision to agree with them. And it got very awkward if you didn't agree with how they thought. So part of being a welcoming community is that you don't have to believe what I believe to belong. Then you're not really belonging. And it's not really belonging if you have to adhere to a set of rules. But there's nuance there. There's nuance in that. So that's key for us. And then we have a phrase around here. Maybe you've heard it before. You don't have to go to church here to go to church here. You don't have to go to church here to go to church here. And when I first said that, I thought it was brilliant. And everyone I said, I was like, what do you think about this phrase? And they're like, I don't know what that means. Pretty much everyone I talked to said, this doesn't make any sense. You don't have to go to church here to go to church here. So let me take the next 4 or 5 hours and explain to you what it means. Here's what it means. You don't have to go to church here to go to church here means you don't have to believe what we believe to belong. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to give money. You don't have to volunteer. You don't even have to walk into this building to be a part of the community. That is one cool thing about technology, is there are people that don't even live in San Marcos, that don't even live in Texas, that feel that they are a part of this community because of what they're able to experience online. You don't even have to go to church here to go to church here. You don't have to go to church here to be able to connect with the community that's here. There's something special that happens in our journey of life, okay? Because for some of us, we are a part of the heart, right? Some of us might say, I go to the heart. This is where I go to church. And there's something special that happens when we understand or realize that the heart is us, right? The heart isn't a faceless organization that we all go to on Sunday and all, we serve and, some of us work for and all of that. It's not an organization. It's us. It's you guys. It's all of us together. And so if you're taking notes, write this down here. You aren't a member of a church community. You are the church community, right? Being a member means there is some other they that they're taking care of it. They're handling the problems. They're figuring stuff out. But having this posture of welcoming in our life, in our church community, means that you are the church community. You see that? You're not joining a church community in the sense of you're becoming a member. You're becoming, you have to sign something that says, okay, now I am a member of the heart. If it's your first Sunday here, it's like if you were coming into the house. If your first Sunday here, you're welcome to, go to the fridge, get whatever you want, check in the pantry. Corbin, he'll do that. He'll come down, he'll look in the pantry, say he's hungry. Pantry's full. You can't see the walls. But he'll say he's hungry, say there's nothing to eat, close the pantry door. That's a fact. 10 minutes later, he'll walk downstairs again, open the pantry. Do we have anything to eat? Yes, actually, we have many things to eat. Well, I don't see anything. Closes the door. This is every day. This is an actual quote. I am so hungry. He does that with his, I am so hungry. If it's your first time here, your first time to do anything with the heart, that is the access you now have to our community. But it doesn't mean you have that access to everyone. So it's not, now we need to let everybody in, and I'm going to be a welcoming person, so now everybody needs to be able to come into my house and go through my fridge and go through my pantry and do whatever they want. No. There's a couple of scriptures I want to look at today. They're both going to be in Romans. Romans was actually a letter written by a man named Paul. So if you don't know the Bible, some of it is letters, some of it is poetry, some of it is history. But they're all told in stories. And it's an amazing, amazing way. Reading the Bible, wherever you are with it, even if you don't believe all of it, you don't understand most of it, then you're like a lot of other people. But it's okay to read the Bible without feeling like you are agreeing to every single thing it says. It's okay to be able to explore it and understand and get a glimpse of how people explored their faith. In fact, looking at these letters, some of these letters here, the book of Timothy, that's a letter written to one person. And the book of Romans, it's interesting because this is a letter, and we don't have the other side of that letter. This is like we went to someone's mailbox, and we stole mail out of their mailbox, which is illegal, by the way. And we stole their mail, and we said, we're going to read this now and live our life by it. That's what the book of Romans is like. So, okay, check this out. We're going to look at Romans chapter 15, and we're going to read verses 7 through 13. So Paul says, and he's talking to this group of believers in Rome, okay? He says, so reach out and welcome one another to God's glory. Jesus did it, now you did it. Jesus, staying true to God's purposes, reached out in a special way to the Jewish insiders so that the old ancestral promises would come true for them. That just means that Jesus was reminding people who already knew God, okay? Who already knew God, that God saw them, God heard them, and God was there for them. Now watch this. And as a result, the non-Jewish outsiders, sometimes called Gentiles, okay? The non-Jewish outsiders have been able to experience mercy and to show appreciation to God. Just think of all the scriptures that will come true in what we do. What Paul is saying here is that Jesus had a posture of welcoming. Because if he didn't have a posture of welcoming, you and I wouldn't be talking about Jesus right now, because it would be exclusively for Jewish people. But because of the posture of welcoming that Jesus had, now God's love, God's mercy, God's grace became available for everyone. So does that mean that Jesus practically talked to everyone who wanted to talk to him? No, he didn't. Does that mean Jesus helped every single person that said, Jesus, I need your help? No, sometimes he didn't. In fact, sometimes, if you didn't know this, Jesus pulled the old push the cart in the other way at HEB thing. If you read some of the stories in the Bible, there was people crowded around him and they wanted things from him, and he would escape. I don't know if you know that part of the story. You can look it up. Just Google Jesus escapes from crowd, and it'll pop up a couple scriptures. Sometimes Jesus would escape because that was best for him at the time. So Jesus, being the welcomer of welcomers, and because of what Jesus did and who Jesus was and the things that he taught, you and I are able to experience God's grace. You're telling me that Jesus, even he was the welcomer of welcomers, wasn't always giving access to people. Yes, exactly. So what does welcoming look like for you? Where do you have a posture of welcoming in your life? Let's say, just for a sec, let's pull back welcoming from people. Because welcoming is not always about people. Sometimes having a posture, a value of welcoming, means that you are approachable. Are you approachable? Are you approachable at work? Are you approachable at home? Are you someone that can be taught? Are you coachable? Being approachable and coachable, and someone who learns, someone who doesn't have a problem being a student, someone that doesn't have a problem being the smartest, not being the smartest person in the room, that is a posture of welcoming. Because maybe you've met religious people, or they don't have to be religious either. Maybe you've met people in your life where they can't be taught anything. I already know everything I know. I'm already set in my ways. I already know what I'm going to say if this happens. I already know what I'm going to do when this happens. I don't know how welcoming that person is. And that's true of myself. It's challenging. It's challenging to look at where in your life you're welcoming and where you're not. The more I'm on this journey with my mental health, where I think that I am welcoming for people, what I find is sometimes that I just have poor boundaries. And I dress it up. I church it up a little bit. And I church up my poor boundaries as, well, I just like being around people, right? Excuse me. And I church it up a little bit, dress it up, and really what it is I have poor boundaries when people want to access part of my life. I wonder where in your life you have this kind of spirit, this posture of welcoming, and where you don't. And where you don't, maybe that needs to stay that way. Sometimes it can feel easy, or it can be tempting, or we feel this pull towards, well, if Jesus was welcoming, then I'm going to be welcoming. And then we apply what we think is welcoming to that instead of looking at, understanding, taking the time to reflect, what does welcoming mean for us? One more scripture I want to read for you here. This is Romans chapter 14, verses 1 through 4. This is saucy. Welcome with open arms, fellow believers who don't see things the way you do. Don't jump all over them every time they do or say something that you don't agree with. That's my favorite thing to do. Even when it seems that they are strong in opinions but weak in the faith department, remember, they have their own history to deal with. Treat them gently. We love to jump all over people that don't agree with what we think. Welcoming is not about agreeing. There are plenty of organizations and plenty of places where you can go and belong as long as you agree. But if we are going to be a community that truly believes that you don't have to agree with us to belong here, then that necessarily means that we need to have a posture of welcoming. Because we're not going to have not everybody's going to agree. The people I live with don't even agree with me all the time. That's my wife and my son, my roommates. Welcoming is not about agreeing. It can't be. It can't be. Because if the only people that you allow yourself to be around are the people that agree with you, if the communities that we're a part of, if we're only able to be in that community if we agree with them, then we miss out on the unique experience of what it means to be human. And I think that is probably one of the most welcoming things of all, is when I have room to be who I am. Not who I am at my best, but who I am all the time. Literally just this morning. Okay, I didn't plan on this. This is another therapy session. Just this morning, before y'all got here, I had a little attack of anxiety. It wasn't an attack, it was me. You know, when you say attack, you act like I was a victim to my anxiety. That's not true. I got a little anxious. And I wanted to share with the team that I don't want to, bring this anxious energy all the time, and I want to kind of be upfront with that as much as I can. And y'all, I can only do that. I can only share where I'm at with my journey, with my anxiety and all of that. I can only share that because we have a community where I can be who I am. That's how you know you're surrounded by people that have a posture, a value of welcoming, is if you can be who you are around them. So when we say you don't have to go to church here to go to church here, it means that you are safe to be who you are, where you are in your journey of faith and your journey in life. Doesn't mean there's not going to be arguments. We have plenty of those. There's going to be disagreements. We also have plenty of those. Sometimes we fight about the things that we disagree with. Sometimes we get upset. But getting upset and fighting and arguing are part of the human experience. They're part of relationships. They're part of community. And what I want for you and what I want for myself is to be able to have a community where we can all do that in a safe place. Last thing I want you to write down. Welcoming isn't about agreeing. It's about seeing people where they are and who they are without requiring change from them. That is so key. It's easy to require change from people. It's easy to be tempted to require people to change. We do that all the time. I hardly remember dating, but back in the 80s, no, I'm not that old. No offense if you are. Wow, I really ruined everything there. Jeez Louise. Back when I was dating, Amber's the only person I ever dated. Back when I was dating, I would want to change people, right? Maybe when you were dating, you wanted to change people. Maybe now in your marriage. Hold on, we're still going here. Save your comments, Maybe you're dating and you want people to change to who they are, to who you want them to be. Maybe you're already married, you've been married a long time, and you're still trying to change the person to who you want them to be. How's that working for you? It's terrible. It's difficult to change people, but it's so tempting, it's so natural for us to want to change people. But being welcoming, being someone who has a spirit, a posture of welcoming, it means that we're going to see people, acknowledge people, choose to love people, okay? Don't love people because you're supposed to. Don't love people because you think you have to. Love's got to be a choice. In fact, choice is a core value at the heart. And so you can choose to love people, and if we choose to love people and see them and acknowledge them where they are without requiring them to change, that's where it's a challenge. That's why it's important to remind ourselves that welcoming is our core value. Is one of the core values at the heart. So where in your life are you welcoming? That's what I want for you this week, is to challenge you in your journey this week, whatever you have going on. Where are you welcoming and where are you not? And are you satisfied with those? If you are, fantastic. Sometimes the goal of a message here on a Sunday, sometimes the goal, if you're reading the Bible or praying, the goal isn't always to change everything about what you're doing. Sometimes the goal is to look at the way you're acting, what you're saying, and how you're approaching people. Sometimes the goal is to reflect on that and then say, yeah, that is who I still want to be. It's to look at yourself and be able to say, this is where I am. And I'm okay with that. And if I'm ready to change, and that's where all the core values start to find their way into our life. Because as we learned last week, taking a look at ourselves, that requires honesty. It requires honesty to take a serious look at where we are and who we are. So maybe we can practice some honesty this week and kind of look at ourselves and are we welcoming to the people in our life? Is it safe for people to approach us about our problems? Or am I willing to learn something new? Am I willing to learn something from somebody who is younger than me, from somebody who's older than me, from somebody who might know more than me? If we're able to do that, if we're able to look at ourselves in that way, and able to have this posture of welcoming, or to at least see, it changes the way we approach our life. It changes the way we approach our relationships, our marriage, our parenting, the people we work with. Jesus showed us what it meant to have a heart of welcoming. Because when he came to teach, he taught whoever was there. When he came to heal, he didn't ask, are you Jewish or not? Then I'll heal you. What church do you go to? How much do you give? Do you serve as well? Are you a deacon? Can you imagine if those were the requirements Jesus had to check off before you got a healing? No. Jesus said, I'm here to love, and I'm here to serve, and I'm here to be here for the people of God, whoever that is. And now we know, because of this and because of what we're able to experience, that is everyone. If you could, close your eyes for a moment. I want to pray with you this morning. I want to challenge you to examine where you are welcoming in your life and where you're not. And if you're fine with it, then be fine with it. And if you want to change, then change. Because you are empowered to do both. You're empowered to stay right where you are, and you're empowered to change where you want to change. So I'm going to pray for us real quick. God, thank you so much for the opportunity that we have to grow in our faith. God, you have empowered us with grace, with hope. You have shown us what it means to be welcoming by giving us your son, Jesus. And because of what Jesus did, we're able to experience love and grace. So God, I pray that because we have been welcomed, we can be a people who welcome. We can be a people who welcome adversity, a people who welcome new relationships, a people who welcome feedback. God, give us the boldness that we need to be the welcoming people that we can. We pray that in your name. Amen. Amen.
Y'all, thanks so much for joining us today at The Heart. To find out what is next for you in your journey of faith, I want to invite you to go to theheart.church/next, see what's in store for you, get in touch with us. We would love to be able to connect with you and see how we can partner with you in your journey. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.